I am woman, hear me roar. I know you want to hold on to the woman I was before, but I'm not her, and she isn't me. I'm now standing in the ashes of who I used to be. Loss on the left and heartbreak on the right, but God knew I was his soldier for the fight. Some don't want me to forget the mistakes already done, but God said for my sins he gave his only son. So your gossip, opinions, and lack of support, I have learned to use that as motivation for improvement and not take it to heart. Don't be selfish to think that for you to go up, you must keep me down, because, my sister, we all deserve to wear a crown. Don't knock my hand when I reach out for you. I know many have done you wrong and now you only trust a few. I want to see you healed, delivered, and set free. I can't say I love my sister and watch her remain in captivity. You are a woman. Let them hear you roar, because you are not the her you were before. I am Everett Maxine, and I would like to welcome you to the absence of her. Please remember to like, follow, and most importantly, share. It's Her Friday, y'all.
Hey, listeners, we have another Her Friday guest with us today. Can you share with my listeners who you are, your age, and where you're from?
Hi, yes, thank you. Hi, Her Friday listeners. I am Alexis Moore. I'm from Pearland, Texas. I am 36 years old. I am a mom, a franchise owner, a health coach, and a faith believer.
Absolutely. So my first interaction with you, I'm pretty sure you don't remember, because the church has a lot of members. But I remember you from Harvest Point. And so right now, I mean, they've gone back to in-person service. I don't know if you've attended. I haven't had a chance. But the motto is preach, teach, reach. And so since we've been live streaming for the past 2 months, how have you, during this virus restrictions, been able to hold that motto up of the church, or basically the lifestyle of the church?
It's definitely been a challenge, just because, like you said, with everything else going on. But the one thing that I definitely try to do is still stay plugged in to the source, right? And we know God's our source. So whether it is, catching services on Sunday, catching the services via virtual Wednesday night, or either, attending the women's Bible study
right
on Wednesdays, some kind of way to stay connected in order to give your own self energy to keep going.
Right. Because you can't pour out to anybody if your cup is empty. And I found it kind of challenging for me, because it's different getting up and disciplining yourself to go to a live service. And then I work nights, so then I come home and then I want to watch it on YouTube, and then I'll be like, oh, I'll get to it later or whatever. And it's like, you really have to discipline yourself now to make sure you feed yourself the word, because you kind of get, well, for me, I kind of get lax when we weren't going to the physical building. It's like, okay, I'll get to it. But then I find that I'll be in a situation or a little bit stressed, and it's like, have you been feeding your spirit? Because I interact with a lot of women, and I'm pouring into them, but it's like, if you don't have somebody pouring into you, then you're just running on empty.
That is so true. A couple of years ago, when I was going through my what I call my pit down phase in life, I was listening to Joyce Myers, and she said something that has resonated with me ever since I've had my daughter. And she said, what you feed longest becomes strongest. And so basically that's just, the same thing. When you feed your soul and your spirit, the Word of God, something motivational, something inspirational, and you have to keep your own cup full, even when you're not going to the church or getting it, from someone else. You have to make the conscious effort to feed yourself. So you can stay full. So people think, the one thing for women is we always call it to be selfish when you don't take that time out for yourself. But when you understand that time out for yourself is only so you can be better for others, you will value that much better. And you won't care if somebody calls you selfish because you want to spend 2 or 3 hours reading, spa day, whatever the case may be for yourself. You have to have those moments to feed and fill your soul.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I've learned the self-care, the self-love, that is so important. And I learned that through therapy because I used to just put myself on the back burner. I'm a divorcee. And so I tried to put so much energy into the marriage. And I've learned from being in church now that you have to take care of self, because you can't contribute to any relationship, to anything, friendship, anything, if you're not taking care of self, taking that self time. So one of the things you mentioned is that you're a mother to a daughter, correct?
Yes, I have a little girl. Her name's Aaliyah, and she's 10. Aaliyah's 10 years old. And so, yeah, she changed my life. Let me say that. But this is I'm going to touch on a topic that I kind of feel like sometimes not talked about a lot.
Okay.
Is that there are some women that have kids that never really wanted kids.
Okay.
And I was one of those women, right? I never wanted kids. I was one of those women who was like, I want to be the auntie. You come to my house and you go home, right? I want to be the best auntie ever. And so after I had my daughter, it took me four years, or so, to really get into that whole the mommy groove. I look in the backseat and we'd be driving, and I'm like, oh my gosh, my mom. And it took a while for me to really, truly accept, her and embrace her. You do it once you have the baby because you have to, right? You're a mom. So you do things just because you're supposed to, but the feeling of being a mother and the motherhood, that had to grow on me. And I think that women feel guilty. The mommy guilt is so real. I have women now who I do health coaching with, and they talk about the mommy guilt, and I try to express to them, don't feel that way. It's okay. It's okay because you're going to make so many sacrifices for your kids throughout their life, to where if you have to leave them with the auntie or a sister or run to the store, or you want to go on vacation, but you don't want to leave them because you're afraid they're going to be like, mommy. Yeah, they're going to miss you. They're supposed to. They're your kid. But right. The mommy gives you to go somewhere and not be able to go somewhere and be present or have fun and enjoy yourself. That's when the disconnect comes in. And then you're drained. So I always want to say to moms, take that time out for yourself and don't feel guilty about it. Don't feel guilty about it.
My mom was one of those that did not want to have children. And for the first portion of my childhood, till I was about 10 or 11, we lived with my grandmother. And my mom would always say she didn't want to have kids. I was really spoiled and I knew, my mom was one of them parents that had bad nerves. I knew if I sat there and talked to her long enough, I did not stay on punishment. She'd be like, go outside and play. I can't handle it. Now, we got better as I got older, but you know, when people say, oh, when, you know, people have kids and that motherhood kicks in. And I'm one of them that say, when I was still with my husband, I wanted like 6 kids. And now that I'm single and I don't have children, I'm perfectly okay with that, because I'm like, I kind of say out loud, what would I do with a child? Now, if it happens down the road, I'm now 40, but I don't expect no miracles. But if it happens down the road, I'd be okay with it. But I really think, like, I don't know how to change a diaper. I barely remember to feed myself. Like, it's a lot of responsibility. It really is. And even I babysitted a little cousin one time, and I forgot she was at the house with me. So,
yes. You will be in your own zone.
Yeah, so I like your honesty. Like, it had to grow on you. You had to be like, I'm a mom. Like, it was still like a shock factor, you know, because, you know, some people present it like, oh, I was just the perfect mom from day one. And that's not always the reality, you know?
Right. And it's not. And I think, too, you know, and so much is just put out there, you know, to be a perfect mom and, you know, and this and that. And you have to really just be honest with yourself. And you have to just like, it's okay if I'm not the perfect mom. I have this one of my girlfriends, she makes the lunch boxes and writes the little notes, and she does this and that. She's really crafty, and she goes to PTA meetings, whatever they're called. And I had to tell myself, I'm not that mom, and it's okay. Am I present with my daughter? I have a softball team. I coach girls. I'm relevant. We do homework, but there's some things that I'm probably not going to be good at, and I'm not going to try to be that mom. I'm my mom. I'm the best version of myself I can be, and that's all I can be for my daughter. So you can't. That's another thing. You can't compare yourself to other moms that are there at your child's school, because they'll have you feeling like you ain't doing enough, and I'm good over here.
No, don't compare yourself to any other parent, because as I've seen, parenting does not come with a book. There is, and I mean, we were once kids, like, everything our parents taught us or tried to teach us, we didn't always listen. So, you know, it's like, I think I tell people I probably want to lock the kid up, because I would be kind of terrified. Like, I did some sneaky stuff. I was smart, but I was sneaky. So I'd be like, I pray for parents, because that's a job. But yeah, you know, if you're doing the best that you can do, never compare yourself to the next person, because you'd wear yourself out trying to be. The only thing we can do is be better than our version of ourselves was the day before.
Right.
And as a parent, all you can do is give your child the best of you, and that's what they're going to remember.
That's it. That's all they're going to remember.
So 2020 is almost over. With everything that has been going on this year, how have you been able to protect your child's innocence with everything going on in the world right now?
She's very, you know, nowadays there's so much on TikTok, there's so much on Snapchat and Instagram. And my daughter's 10, right? So she kind of knows what's going on. Right. She's very bright. And so one thing that I try to do as a mom is stay connected with her in those areas. When she's on TikTok, what are you looking at? What dances are you doing? Let mommy get in the dance with you, so I can kind of see what she's watching at the same time.
Right.
You know, and I'll ask for her phone. I do phone checks, and we have the conversations on, you know, what you're supposed to be looking at, what you shouldn't be looking at. If it comes up on your screen, you need to close it down. We talk about, you know, COVID right now. You know, so the first 9 weeks we did at home, and then the second 9 weeks we just went back to school. And so talk to her about the cleanliness, washing your hands, being safe, wearing her mask, you know, watching other kids, being mindful of them, because although she may be doing everything right, what are they doing? So you have to be aware of those who are around you too. So I try and really make her pay attention to everything going on around her and not just herself.
Right. That is understandable. It's kind of like when you learn to drive and they tell you not only have to drive for yourself, but for the others too. And so, and I really feel sorry for the kids because I just got done student teaching this semester in the Aldine district. And I feel really bad for the kids because it's like they want some sense of normalcy, but like they can't play and interact like they used to. And in the classroom, they're wearing masks the entire time. And it's like, we want them to be safe. We want them to be healthy. But at what point, how long is this going to go on? I mean, right. As an adult, we make adjustments. But, for the kids' sake, it's kind of like, man, I wish they didn't have to go through this.
And it is. And when they're, that's the one thing that she said when they went back to school is having to wear the mask the whole time. And then, not being able to, because she's in the 5th grade. And normally in the 5th grade, even when they were in 4th grade, they switch classes.
Right.
Now they don't switch classes. They just stay in that same classroom.
Oh, wow. That has to be boring.
And so that's to cut down, on the movement in the hallways and things like that. And so, I think for everybody it's been a huge adjustment that they're learning how to adjust day by day.
Right. So what motivates you? Because I know you're I met a lot of people via Instagram, but you always seem to be very humble and very positive. What motivates you to be humble and positive like you are?
Oh, wow. Great question. I try to because growing up for me, I grew up with a speech impediment called a stutter. And so as I got older, after college for me, it seemed to had gotten worse. I played sports growing up. I went to college on a full basketball scholarship. So when I was younger, it was like I knew I stuttered, but I didn't focus on it. It wasn't a big deal to me. And so it wasn't until after college where I had to go on job interviews and face the real world. I no longer had sports to hide behind. I no longer had basketball or any volleyball, anything. So when I would go on interviews, my speech would be so bad. My anxiety would shoot through the roof. I'd be sweating everywhere, and it just got really bad. And so there came a point where I went and saw a neurologist, and he had put me on some anxiety medication called Lexapro. Mm-hmm. And I took Lexapro for a little while, and then I didn't feel like myself. And I remember driving around 6:10. I called my grandma, and I was like, "Grandma, I'm not taking these pills anymore. I don't feel like myself." And so she was like, "Baby," she was like, she said, "Open mouths, open doors. And if God made you this way, then he'll help you to live with it." And so it was in that moment that I said, what I call my serenity prayer, and just asked God for, the guidance and the strength and the courage and comfort to navigate my speech, to live with it, not be afraid of it or what others thought about it, how they perceived it or anything. And so, that was my daily prayer. And every day I just kind of worked on my speech. I made myself talk, put myself in situations. I would even, girl, so crazy. And so the things people take for granted, right? I would make myself drive through the drive-through just to practice my talking.
Oh, wow.
And I would go through an order just to start feeling more comfortable speaking. And so that helped me, although I wasn't face-to-face with anyone. It was me talking regularly. and to stop shying away from talking. And so then I would make myself go to networking events, make myself, speak. I had joined the Houston Area Urban League and ran for office for treasurer. And so it was my speech impediment, I would say, is what humbled me. It keeps me humble because I know what it is, what it feels like to be talked about, to be bullied, to face fear, to feel the insecurities, to deal with the self-sabotaging thoughts that comes with the not feeling like you're enough.
Right. And also know that you're uniquely designed. And see, I had to, and you just said something that people take for granted, because you're absolutely right. I have, one of my strong things was communication. I was a Lincoln Douglas debater and participated in the speech club in high school. So that is, I've never, you just humbled me, because I've never thought about speech. I've thought about people without their limbs, or the use of things, or their intelligence being slow to think, or things like that. But I've never really thought about people that struggle with speech.
Mm-hmm. In the Black community, I'm not even just going to say Black community, the minority communities, it's not talked about a lot. And when you grow up, people who stutter, there's not really a lot of Black women who stutter, minority women who stutter. It's mainly seen within men and boys, And so for me and my sister, we didn't know anybody besides us. Our dad stuttered, we had an uncle who stuttered, but as far as a female, I didn't meet another female lady who stuttered until I was 25 out of college. And I had joined this speech program, and I met one other Black lady that was in there, and she kind of, and we ate, we talked about it, cried, all the above. And it was seeing her in the professional state that she was in and still being successful, which gave me hope. And so I always say that the word hope stands for helping other people succeed. Oh, and wow. When you're able to give hope to people, you're helping them and you're showing them the way. And so, and she did that for me in that moment, Miss Rhonda. I still talk to her today. And so it's very important to me to always walk in a state of humbleness. I prayed to God for that, even, as I continue to grow professionally and open up more franchises and get into real estate and make my millions. I'm going to speak it.
All right, man.
As I continue to grow, that He always keeps me in a state of humbleness.
Well, I wanted to ask you what was something no one knows about you, or a few people know, but I think you've already shared that. It is so courageous of you to even be speaking with me right now and to, share what you've experienced on this platform. And I can only imagine, the number of people that are going to hear this. Because, I had to understand that vulnerability is courage. And for you to be able to share your truth like that, to say, hey, I had this speech impediment. This is what I deal with, but I've accepted it. I've moved forward, and I'm going to be a millionaire. I'm going to be a businesswoman. I'm going to succeed, and these are the things that I chose to do. I didn't let that hinder me. That is so huge, because there are so many people that have some type of disability, and they hide from it, or they let it make them feel shameful, and they don't step out. It's
the faith, it's a faith walk. In the word says, it's daily, right? You have to feed yourself daily something in order to live in a courageous and boldness life for him. And that's the one thing, even when I face fear, when I was going through my pit, and I say, when you're at your lowest, I was 220 when I had my daughter. I had lost my job in oil and gas, making great money. Lost my job. Me and her dad split. I'm back at home with my mom, 220 pounds. And in that pit moment is when I say that God's saying, your pit is preparing you for the position God has promised you. Mm. And it's when you're in that pit stage, what are you doing at your lowest? Are you able to still find a way to give him praise in that moment? Because it's when you're in that pit, are you preparing yourself for his promise? Because it's still going to come to pass, right? You just can't get there and get stuck. And so for me, it was in that time that I said my serenity prayer is what I call it. And I asked God to allow me to become so secure in my insecurities that I don't even see it. And for me, that was my speech. So if I become so secure in it, right, I don't focus on it. The one thing that we do, whether it's weight, whether it's finances, whether it's speech, whether it's, whatever insecurity that is, we focus on it so much and we magnify it.
Right.
And when we magnify it, that's what creates the fear. And God told me that fear stands for face every area of resistance.
Whew. Wow. So
when you face your fears in that moment, that's when that courage develops, the boldness. And one of my favorite scriptures, he said, to be bold and courageous. Bold and courageous. And that will outweigh confidence. When you're courageous, the confidence, and that's the one thing that people, they have confidence in their looks, in their bag, in their hair, maybe in their money. But do you have courage to walk into the bank, give your business plan, to walk into wherever, ask for $300,000? Do you have courage to face your fears? Somebody's being rude and ugly to you. Do you have the courage to say, hey, this is who I am. You're going to treat me accordingly. I'm a child of God, and you'll treat me such so. So it's the courage and the boldness that I believe you have to have in him, and he's within you, in order to step out there and really go after all your goals and dreams. Because he's called you to be the head.
Absolutely.
So you have to, you have to develop that boldness and courage to keep going, because it's tough. It's hard out here in these streets.
It is, because it took me until my late 30s before I really had confidence. I was I excelled academically in school. And like I said, I did the speech thing, but I did not have confidence in myself. I always thought I was ugly. And at the time then, I was 135 pounds. Well, after everything I was going through in adult life, the depression and all those kind of things, I doubled in size. So then I already didn't like how I looked in the mirror. I hated it even worse. And I had to get to a place where, I went to therapy in 2017 when my separation began. And that is when I got to know myself. I know a lot of people in our culture fear going to therapy, but I think that was the bravest thing I ever did to get
Absolutely.
to know me and to be able to accept me. So now, I'm working on the weight loss, but I don't focus on that. I love me. I look in the mirror and I tell myself that I'm beautiful, even when my hair looking all crazy and it's not the best day. I have to say positive affirmations and step out on courage, because if we, like you say, if you focus on the fears, it will become bigger and bigger and bigger, and you'll hide yourself away. Because I really used to do that. I would keep myself in the house. Might go to work, but I didn't want anybody to know really what was going on in my life, because I didn't want them to know that I was imperfect. Well, actually, we're all imperfect.
Mm-hmm. And we are imperfectly perfect in Him.
Right.
Right. We are imperfectly perfect in Him. And that's what I had to tell myself. Because like you said, you will, if your thoughts, that's why the other scripture is so important for you to feed yourself the word, because it's our responsibility to take those negative thoughts captive and replace them with His word, because those thoughts are going to come, right? That's the devil's job. The self-sabotaging thoughts, the negative thoughts, but it's your responsibility in that moment, as soon as they peak, to speak life over yourself with the affirmations, and with His word, where then you're able to stand tall and stand bold and walk out in your purpose and in your calling. It takes courage, and I'm so happy for you to even taking those steps for yourself, seeking therapy, because depression and mental health is real. It's a real thing.
Yeah.
And you have to take control of your thoughts, and speaking to someone to help you understand why you're feeling the way you feel. And not only, when you understand, or not even validating your thoughts, but helping you to talk through them from an emotional state. And that's what we need to do as a whole.
Right. So you mentioned the fitness, and that you're a fitness instructor. I can't even talk right now. So what led you in the areas of fitness, and have you had any personal weight struggles?
Yeah, it's crazy how everything in my life works together, right? And the word says that they work together for the good of those. And so for me, just playing sports my whole life, all the way through college. After I had my daughter, I was 220 pounds, and I was depressed. 220, had moved back home. Me and her dad had split, and I didn't know what to do with that weight. I didn't even know how to get the weight off, and it was crazy because I played sports my whole life. I've always been in shape, right? You would think it would be easy for me, but it wasn't. And so, my mom is one of those moms. You have one day to cry and then get up. Like the world's still going. Right. So when I moved back in with my mom, and I was on the couch, and that one day she was like, "That's it." And we got up, started walking around the block, started walking, and then after about a month or so, I started jogging because I had a C-section with my daughter. So it was really hard for me to get back moving, and my abs and my core. And so I had, after that first month, I got my own self a personal trainer. Although you may have been doing something for a long time, or you used to be this way, there's never, where you can't reach out and get help. And right. So I got my own personal trainer and started going to this man named John Mitchell here in Houston at that body gym. I still go work out there, still a member, and started back working out. And that's when I actually fell back in love with myself all over again, and working out on my physical body helped my spiritual man and my mental man, because I learned how to breathe all over again. When you work out and you lift weights, you learn how to breathe, and that helped with my speech. And so that taught me how your mind, body, and soul, everything really and truly is connected, and they are one. And when you're in a space where you align them all, it's like the sky's the limit with God.
Absolutely. Never let somebody try to give you a ceiling, because the sky is the limit of what you can do.
Yes, and that's when my health coaching fitness journey started. I started doing the Muscle Mania fitness competitions, fitness shows, and just started really taking back my life.
That is so cool. Like I can't. I don't think I'm there yet physically where I would be out there ready to show my body. But that is so. That is so. But I've always been. I guess the word. I won't say modest because I mean, I don't know. I've always been very covered up. It took me till like an adult to wear a pair of shorts. So maybe I'm just a little old fashioned. I don't know. So you're also a franchise owner with your sister, right?
Yes, with my sister, my younger baby sister. Her name's Sade Moore. We're 3 years apart. We opened up our first Smoothie King franchise in 2017. And so we've been open 2 years now. Sorry, 2018. We've been open 2 years now. And our location's in Lake Jackson, Texas, which is right outside of Houston, going south. And we just always knew that we wanted to work for ourselves. And I was working in oil and gas corporate, and my sister was a paralegal law in a corporate firm, paralegal, and we both used to work right by the Galleria, right across from each other at that. And we would always talk, and me being the older sister, I'd always ask her, what do you want to do with your life, sister? What do you want to do? And that's when I was competing and doing, all that stuff. And she was like, sister, let's do a Smoothie King. And I said, let's do it. And we just started looking into it, reaching out to the Smoothie King corporate office. And we met some people local here in Houston that had some franchises. And another woman here in Houston, her name's Fern Dawkins, and she kind of walked us through the process, and we've been at it ever since.
That is so cool. And Lake Jackson is down there. I'm originally from Bay City, Texas, so Lake Jackson is close to home. That's where we used to go to shop.
And I was in Bay City Sunday, actually.
Oh, wow.
Go ahead. It was my grandma's 80th birthday. So we were down there in Bay City on Sunday.
Miss Betty?
Yes, it was.
I did not know that was your grandma. Small world.
That's my grandma. I haven't did my post yet. I was gonna post our pictures and tell her happy birthday, but yeah, that's my grandma.
Wow, small world. Oh my gosh. So I asked about your daughter. So how do you feel? You're a business owner, fitness, your mom. How do you feel being a woman of color in this climate and in season? Because this year we done had some different, I guess different things. We've had, the protest, the prejudice, the election, so many different things. So how are you feeling about everything?
To be honest, this is a great time to be a Black woman.
Yes.
This is a great time to be a Black woman. I believe that we are setting standards. We've always raised the bar, but I believe now people are just starting to not only see it, but to recognize it, to accept it, and to give us the accolades we deserve. We work hard, and I think that so many times we are seen as, when my girlfriends say, the ABWs, the angry Black women, and we're not. We're educated, we're well-spoken, we're intelligent, we run businesses, we're moms too. So now I believe that, we've had a lot of negative things take place this year as far as racism on our Black men and Black people in general. But I just try to focus on the light and the light side, not saying that what's bad's not happening, but in order to keep going and to stay encouraging to the ones that are still here, it's to shine light on the positive things that we're doing.
Right. Totally understandable. And I had somebody ask me, she said, why do Black women have to be so strong? And I said, I think it comes from our ancestors. I said, during the time of slavery, you had husbands and children taken away. I said, so I think along the line, we just found ways to survive and be strong. And I do agree, like, you can say something, and I've worked on myself, reminding myself that I am an educated Black woman, that there's no need for me to have to raise my voice to anybody, cuss anybody out, because that's the reaction that they assume that we're going to have. Mm-hmm. And so I've taken a step back. When people say something negative, if I know that's not who I am, I don't accept it. So there's no point in going back for that person. And I recently shared a picture because I graduated in 1999 and went to the presidential classroom. And I was staying in front of the memorial wall, the Vietnam Memorial Wall. And when I took the picture, and I said, one of the things they asked us when we were there, what do you want to be? I said, and one of the things I said I wanted to be the first Black woman president. The room went silent. Now, I never pursued politics because the older I got, I realized politics was basically people being all up in your business. And I didn't, I wasn't a fan of that. I was like, I don't want my life on display year after year. No, thank you. But it is good to see the word making itself plain and coming to fruition that the last shall be first.
Say that again.
The last shall be first. So, and I think you've already, with your life journey, you've already expressed that, but you might have something else that you would like to share about a memory in which you feel like you exercised a great amount of faith.
It's very much, I'd say for me, exercising the faith too came from walking off my corporate job. My degree background is in accounting. I had been in oil and gas for 10, 12 years. Ever since college, I was blessed to get right out of school and get a good job in oil and gas. And so when we decided to open up the franchise, I was going to stay on my job. My sister was going to leave her job, and she was going to run it, and we were going to let our mom run it as well. And so when it came time to, my sister was like, sister, I need you. Like, no, you need to leave too. And for me, it was getting ready to leave a job where I was making $70,000 a year, right, to walking off, not knowing what I was going to make, not knowing what was about to happen.
That is faith.
What I knew for sure was that God was with me, and that's because I've trusted Him before. And one thing my grandmother used to say is, when you know Him for yourself and you trust Him for yourself, you know He's always with you and He's there. And so when I had lost my job and got let go, before, when I had my daughter, I was explaining, then in order to even get back in corporate, I took a pay cut. And so then is when I knew, if you will trust Him at your lowest, if you will allow Him to decrease you before He increases you, mm-hmm, then that shows another level of faith, and you see Him on a bigger realm. So when I decided to walk off my job, I reflected back on those moments where He had showed up for me before.
Wow.
And so the trust I had within him and within myself. If you can work for somebody else 15 to 20 years, why can't you work for yourself and put in that same effort in that same life?
Absolutely. Because some businesses I've been on, I'd be like, I think I could probably even manage this just a little bit better.
Okay.
But,
and you have to.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about when he decreases you, because these past 2 years for me has been a great faith walk. This podcast was started in memory of my mom. The year she passed away, I had a job in security at Baybrook Mall that only paid like $10 an hour. And it was just always something at that job. So I walked away from that job, and I had applied for the job I have now. And my grandma Roxy passed at the end of May, on May 28th of 2018. And I got the job and I accepted it, and I was supposed to orientate on June 20th of 2018. Well, we found my mom deceased June 19th. So that meant her and my grandmother didn't even pass, not even a month apart. And then the divorce happened that same year. And so I had never lived on my own as an adult. And so I was literally started from the bottom. And when she passed, I didn't have any income because I had waited on the job. And it was like I really had to put myself in a position where I said, God, I'm going to let you do this. Because for so many years, I had put my hands in things and I make a mess of things. And I have been so comforted by giving the situation to God. So when you say you left the job and, it was a walk of faith, but I believe if you know God and you have a relationship with God, when you have to make steps like that, there's no anxiety, there's no stress, because God got you.
And that's what it was. And it's been, it's definitely been a journey for us. Like I said, this is our first store. There's nobody else in our family that's opened up a business or anything like that. So when we both left our jobs, it was complete trust in him. It was complete trust and knowing. But you think about it too, and I always tell myself, that's when you know him and you're able to trust him on another scale. I believe that there's levels to life, right? You go from being a baby to being a teenager to being adolescent, teenager, mid-teen, to being an adult. And I believe that there's steps within the faith that we don't take. Wow. And you can't experience his full glory at the top if you never take those steps to get there and trust him on a whole nother level. Right. And so for me, it was, I can't go to church Sunday after Sunday and saying I believe in him and I have faith and still stay in the same spot year after year, not getting a promotion, not promoting myself, not believing in myself or believing in what he put on the inside of me, because he lives within me. So if he lives within me, then why am I not believing in him and taking these huge steps, right? If that's why we have service and we're going to church and we're building ourselves up, why are you in the same spot? There comes somewhere in a time where you should be able to go to your pastor with a praise report. Right?
You just blessed me, because there are one of the things that, because I've been working on terminating therapy, we've gotten to that point. And one of the things she has put on me is that it is time for me to trust God with like some of the conversations that her and I have, and not need to pick up the phone to talk to somebody else or not need to consult her, but fully trust him. That I've grown, but I really need to step out there and fully trust him. And so God has already told me it's time to let it go. And, and so I have struggled with that little part. And it's like I have people that come to me and they say, how do you get through this? How do you get through that? And it's like, I don't want to tell somebody something that I'm not living, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to tell somebody, trust God, and here I am staying stagnant because I don't want to walk out on faith.
Right. And you've said it is definitely, like I said, I'm not saying that the fear is not going to come, right? The anxiety is not going to come, but you have to tell yourself that fear, again, stands for face every area of resistance. When that fear comes, that means you're going in the right direction. It's just confirmation.
Right.
It's just confirmation. Anxiety really is just another word for me as being just being happy. You just have to know what to do with those feelings and those emotions. And when you learn how to feel them and let them go, right, and not let them overtake you, right? And so I forgot who it was, say, your feelings are just that. You feel them and you let them go. Because if not, they will hang. They will stay inside of you, right? Whether it's anxiety, whether it's anger, whether it's happiness. If you let it all stay inside, when you're angry, what do? It just boils, right? If you're happy and you can't laugh and can't get it out, what eventually happens? It just busts open. It just comes out. So you have to learn how to feel those emotions and to filter them through, and to let them go, especially when it comes to the fear and the anxiety. And that's what I had to do with my speech in order for me to do anything, to even talk to you right now.
Right. Like you gotta move forward. Like, oh my gosh, I just really love your spirit. Like, I love it. Like the perseverance, I'm going to own this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to move forward with this. That is amazing. Do you have anything else you would like to share with us today?
No, I just want to remind y'all just to believe, right? Believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. It's always the biggest battle in life is you versus you.
Yeah.
That's the biggest battle in life. And once you conquer you, then the sky's the limit. You're an overcomer. You're a winner. You're bold. You're courageous. And these are the kind of words that you just have to keep speaking over yourself, speaking over your life, speaking over everything that you want. Because there is no lack. There is no lack. There is no lack in the earth. Everything that you want is in the earth. And God will supply it for you. He's just waiting for you to come get it. The doors is open. You just got to step.
Right. You got to step out on faith and trust Him and allow Him to do. Because we can do a little things. We can do little things.
Right.
But He has an abundance of things that He can do. And He can do for us without the stress, without the anxiety, and with peace.
Yeah.
So if somebody wanted to find you as a fit coach, as a business owner, do you have a page they could follow or email or to get some information?
Yes, you can follow me on Instagram at A More Fit Body, and that's AMOOREFITBODY. And you can book me at my website, amorefitbody.com. You can find me on Facebook at Alexis Moore, ALEXIS Moore, MOORE, as well as A More Fit Body is my fan page I have on there. And yeah, email me at amorefitbody@gmail.com. And I look forward to helping any way that I can, encouraging any way that I can. I believe, again, in giving people hope, and that's helping other people succeed. So thank you for having me.
Thank you for talking with me, accepting the invitation. And I am Everett Maxine. I would like to thank you for listening to The Absence of Her.
Please like, follow, and most importantly, share.